Good Saturday morning, everyone. Welcome to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. And I'm here with the stellar Mr. Bob Wiltman.
Hey, thanks so much, Greg, and I really appreciate you not overdoing it. I saw you laughing through the window there. I asked Greg a couple of weeks ago, I said, Greg, don't jump right in on the show while the music's playing. Now he lets it play like 5 verses before we get to...
I get well,
so
thanks,
excited.
Folks.
That does the show for today. Thanks so much.
I just get so excited it's hard to restrain myself.
Well, you did a great job this time, and I really appreciate it. I thought you were going to wait a little bit too long, but you didn't. So with that being said, with an unbelievable slate of topics to talk about. In fact, one thing that I did want to mention is I think we're expecting a call during the show. Not sure exactly what time, from Mark Oates, the head coach of the Leesburg High School football team. They had a successful 35-20 ball game last night against South Sumter and
the South Sumter Raiders.
Is that what they are? Yeah. I love it. I love it. So we will hear from
stung by the Yellow Jackets.
That's right. They were swarmed by the Yellow Jackets. Okay, let's see how many B analogies we can make it. They were swarmed. Honey, no, I can't even think of anything there. No problem. But can't wait for the coach to call in and tell us how he thought the game went and what we can expect, not only from this week's practice, but what they're expecting from their next opponent as well. So look forward to hearing from Coach Oates, to be sure.
And they're doing a coaches show on here on WQB,
on the Q, okay,
which is also broadcast on Lakefront TV.
Oh, wonderful!
Yeah, so
fantastic! So we get to see it.
Yeah,
I love it.
So they were. I actually watched one of the episodes. But I just happened to catch it on, I think it was like Thursday night, and then they rebroadcast it several times.
Let me get this right. So I wasn't asked to do the television thing. You don't think I have a face for radio, do you?
I think it's me.
No, I think
you're a very handsome man.
Oh, that's right. I've been told that one time so far today. So that's good. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, and let's get it over with, because I'm being honest, I really don't care about it.
I think there's a lot of elephants in the room.
Well, I guess you're right about that. I just don't care about Mayweather-McGregor, but everybody's going to be watching it apparently tonight. Not me. They don't have my $100. Here's my opinion. Football is in itself corrupt. Boxing is in itself corrupt.
Yeah.
I have watched. I'm not a boxing aficionado. I have watched 20 fights where I swear one guy's beating the other guy up and down the street, and then at the end when they give the decision, they hold up the bloody stump of the guy who. And I think I don't know enough about boxing, I guess, but I do know enough to know that there's some manipulation involved in a lot of the decisions that are reached, and this is going to be just if this comes out to a rematch,
right?
Then we're all shame on everybody.
Yeah.
Because this should be a one-time fits all.
Right.
And if anybody proposes rematch, I don't care if it's a quote-unquote good fight. It's not rematchable. And anybody that thinks, now we'll just charge $150 for the next time. This fight might be decent, and they may say, okay, guys, let's just dance around next time. Maybe we can get 3 out of it. But that's how skewed and that's how down I am on the corruption of boxing.
Right.
I just think it's a joke, and so I don't care at all about it. That being said, I know everybody's a big Fight Club, UFC, is that what it's called? Everybody's big on that, or MMA. I can't even keep track. But this guy has lost 3 times, McGregor.
Right.
And so he's not even dominating that sport, or is he? I don't. I'll tell you what I don't like is whoever told him to act like he acts in the press conferences. I hope he gets everything knocked out of his teeth, and he does. If it's standing there screaming wife beater and abuser, you don't. I mean, there used to be a modicum of class, and there's no class anymore.
Yeah.
And this guy exemplified it to me. So that's where I am on that. So I'm done with it unless you have more to say.
Well, I can't really disagree with you.
Okay.
Good points. Regarding boxing, I've just never, when the heavyweights kind of went away, I've lost interest.
Me too.
To watch these, middleweights and stuff, I just never really found that very fascinating.
You know what? That you make a good point, though. I kind of like to see the, home run balls or the grand slam. Yeah, and I guess there's something thrilling about seeing a guy getting, hit and down, and then when a league came in, you stand over him and scream at him and taunt him, and then that never went away. And now it's so. Oh well, so that's glad to get that behind us. But there's an awful lot of money being paid to these guys.
Yes.
And I think they'd be silly not to try to set it up to get more.
Right.
And we'll see what happens. So, but I just don't like. I hate the when they have them face to face staring down each other for pictures and stuff. Please, but that's okay. If that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
So that is that brawl. Right. And speaking of brawls, I kind of enjoy a good baseball brawl, as long as nobody gets hurt.
Right.
And I don't think anybody got hurt. But I do enjoy watching guys act like they give a darn about what's going on. And I'm sorry, you can't play these guys 18, 20 times a year without really, I'm sure you get some nice solid friendships. I'm sure you got some people you just want to kill.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's what happens, over the course of a season. And so I find absolutely nothing wrong. I thought that, interestingly enough, as I was looking at the suspensions and the fines, I told you, I think Dylan Betances, I said, boy, I thought since he's a guy who threw the ball at the guy's head, I thought that he would probably get worse, but it doesn't look like he did. Maybe I'm wrong. Wrong.
I didn't have a chance to confirm whether he was suspended or not. I know he wasn't the instigator of this.
No, he was not.
He actually was later on.
He came in, and I heard somebody ranting on about the unwritten rules of baseball that if somebody hits one of your guys, you have to hit one of their guys. And I don't know if it's that cut and dried. I think that if some guy, if I was pitching, some guy hit a home run off me,
right,
and did this twirling drum majorette twirl of the bat and stuff, and walked around the bases and stuff.
Which, by the way, Sanchez did not do.
No, I know, but I'm just talking about in general. I would probably, what I would never do is throw at his head.
Yeah,
I would throw at his butt.
Right.
And I mean, throwing at the head is just moronic. And I'm going to sound like, I hope this doesn't sound big. It might, but the fact of the matter is, there are so many hot-blooded Latin players. Guys don't seem to, they just start chucking. I mean, I just chucking balls. And I'm just amazed that, that doesn't mean that other guys don't do it. But, I mean, everybody seems to get all worked up now on the mound.
Right.
And, they bat their chest and they look up in the air and they throw a fastball in tight and they throw another fastball in tight. And the batters are actually the same way. So the fact of the matter is it really doesn't have anything to do with your nationality, of course. I said it just seems that everybody, it's not as lighthearted as it used to be. Yeah. Back in the old days, you threw the ball and it came close to the guy's head. He picked himself, dusted himself off, or if he got hit even, and just walked to first. Okay, I'm on first base. I got hit. Okay. Now, the money's so great that if you're risking, if you hit somebody with a pitch, they think, hey, you're tampering with my meal ticket. I'm going to make $15 million next year. Don't be throwing the ball at my head. I mean, I can see that, I guess, but I don't know. I don't have a solution. I don't, but I would think suspensions would probably help. But
what would the solution? The solution is what they do. They suspend you for a few games and they fine you and then you.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to change every.
It's
time.
almost like
It's
like the penalty box in
Right,
hockey. That's
right.
exactly right. Okay, you're out for a couple games. It costs you money because you got suspended.
Right.
So go back and don't do it again. I mean, yeah, I get it. And
What,
for
are
the
you gonna
most part, I think-
drag out the guillotine and chop off their heads or something.
well, that's really, it's just interesting because I guess, and I don't know if it's media driven or not, but okay, a guy got hit with a pitch. Go to first base.
right.
But
Maybe they could come up with a signal like the intentional walk. So maybe they raise up their hands
The
and do a little
intentional-
dance,
the
and that
intention-
means I hit him with the ball.
the
and he gets-
intentional hit.
Right.
I like that.
like-
I don't like this guy.
Right.
Or have somebody just come out and like paddle him. Whap. There. Okay, now you can go to first
Right.
base. But it's I'm sorry, but that I really think that the sensitivity has gotten into the sports and the political correctness now. Just please. Okay, you threw a pitch at me. You hit me. You didn't hit me. But but like I said, the money's so big now that if you throw the ball and you hit me in the back, and I'm good enough to get up in charge of the mound, I mean, let's face it. If I'm going to make $20 million next year, I don't want to be having some clam throw the ball at my back.
Right.
But how do you differentiate intent from non-intent?
Right.
I mean, the guys are good pitchers, but
Yeah, I mean, I know it's not cut and dry, but in this situation with Sanchez, I the way that he had hit 4 home runs against the Tigers, I think it was pretty obvious that it was intentional.
well, the point is, how do you determine? I mean, you're right. I understand the reason for it,
Right.
but I don't. It'll never get rectified.
No, and see, here's the problem, I think, with like media people and there always needs to be a solution. There always needs to
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, you're right.
Hey, it is what it is. I hate that term though, but
I hate the term, but you're right. It just sits there and you can't. The point is, it can't be rectified.
right.
And
And in my view, nor does it, because you know what? You opened up this segment by saying, you know what? Once in a while, I like a good
I do.
baseball fight.
I do.
So,
I like a good.
as do I.
Yeah.
And I don't think it really needs to be addressed. Okay, they did it. You fine them, you suspend them a few games, and then you enjoy the game.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I know it's not going to be left at that, but we'll see what
No.
gives. But that's one session in the books already, talking about brawls, about McGregor Mayweather and the Yankees Tigers. So we put those behind us, and we got so much stuff on the slate. It's incredible. So
Yeah.
I'll look forward to coming back. And like I said, stay with us because Coach Oates will be calling in. Don't know when, but it'll be during our show. So we'll look forward to that too.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We're sponsored by Bill Bryan Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Your phone number is 352-787-2223. Our phone number, if you want to be part of the show, is 352-315-1410. We'll be right back after these messages. We are back with Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. And we are talking fighting.
We were talking fighting, and if you've got anything else to add to it, I'm all ears. But yes, I enjoy a good baseball fight.
Right.
I think you're exactly right. Suspend everybody 2-3 days, bring them back, let them play ball. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I agree. So we'll see how long this goes on.
Because this is all being filtered through the absurdity of political correctness.
Yes.
By and quite frankly, they talk about like fighting in hockey.
yes,
Like, oh, they should outlaw. Well, you know what? There's a lot of when you play hockey. There's a lot of dirty play.
oh, there's They don't. You don't see it.
And there's a certain amount of it that's accepted by the players. And what fighting does actually is it relieves that tension when it gets to be too much.
Sure.
Because you're always forever jabbing your stick into somebody in the corners and hitting them. It's not like you're hitting them really hard, like behind the pads and stuff. But it starts to get annoying, and some players do it more than others.
Oh, there's no question.
And
some of the really good players, Bobby Clark, who is in the Hall of Fame. Bobby Clark was and Gordie Howe,
right,
hands down the two dirtiest players you ever saw in your life.
Right.
And I mean, there's some dirty ones out there now, but those guys make them look pale by comparison. I mean,
yeah. And so what the fighting does is it kind of relieves that pressure.
Oh, there's no question.
And
I agree.
And I think that happens in any athletic competition where it could be physical. Even baseball, it's not a hitting sport, but you're sliding into bases, you're pitching. There's, I even heard like pitchers that throw to first base, and the first baseman will slap the
tag on the guy
really hard.
Yeah.
You don't like notice that.
That's a jerk.
And
a whap.
Right.
Yeah.
And what happens with the fighting is it relieves that pressure.
Sure. Don't do that anymore.
Right.
And you're exactly right. Hockey, in fact, when the fights start in hockey, those guys know it's coming.
Yeah.
I mean, they're talking.
Yeah.
As soon as this face-off, the puck is dropped, you and I are going to go at it.
Right.
And, and then everybody, the announcers, congratulate the guy. It's 5'7" for fighting the guy that's 6'3".
Right.
And, it only it takes a minute, and they both get exhausted. And, let's face it. You may get a good one in there, but you're punching the guy's helmet.
Yeah.
You're punching. It's really tough.
Right.
Yeah, I like when they get their shirt off. That's always fun. When you see the guy, he's totally undressed, and everybody's like, applauding. I like that. But no, you're right. But yeah, hockey, you know what's coming. Even the announcers say they're going to go at it.
Right.
They're going to drop them.
Yeah.
There they go. You can see it coming. Yeah, because somebody skates by and does a dirty little cheap shot, and the guy goes up to him and kind of pushes him, and then the guy pushes him back, and you think, they're going to go after it. Yeah.
You mentioned Gordie Howe. I like the Gordie Howe hat trick, the goal, assist, and fight.
That's right. That's right. A goal, assist, you get points. Points either way. But but I did enjoy that. But one of the things we've got much to talk about. But let's something that we've been asking for clarification, and now it's come up, is the exhibition NFL schedule, which I always found to be the most tedious thing perpetrated on the American public. What a scam. And now, now some guys are losing their star players for the years during the exhibition season. Right. And now it's just finally sinking in. I don't think so. There's got to be an explanation as to why they keep having. It's obviously money,
right?
But it's I see the head running back of the Chiefs. He's done for the year. Right. I mean, and this is all happening. The Patriots lost to Edelman, I guess, for 4 to 6 weeks.
Right.
Their star receiver, because he got hurt doing a. And you know what? You get into an exhibition game, and some rookie on the other team wants to make a name for himself. So he figures, I'm going to go belt their all-pro receiver, and that's what's going. You're going to get that, and that's how you make a name for yourself, I guess, or at least try to make a name with your coaches. But isn't that silly? Yes. What's the alternative? Yeah, controlled practices. You want to have other teams come in and scrimmage against you.
Right.
That's fine. I like that.
Right.
But I don't get the pomp and circus. I've watched 2 exhibition games this year. I would rather have root canals. They are slow. They're tedious. Nobody gets a first down. Nobody executes. Every other play is a penalty. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. And you might say, well, they need these games. No, they don't need the game. They need practice is what they need to get things under control. But I just think that I've always felt it to be tedious. I've always felt it to be silly. And now all of a sudden a couple of coaches lose their star players, and now there's a problem. Hey, we've got to do something. And they said, well, here, who is it? Somebody said, I got a great idea. Let's add 2 more games to the schedule. Right. I'm sure that's going to fly with the union.
Well, you know what? I was actually reading an article about that, and with the union, that's a non-starter. There is no. They will not negotiate.
No.
They will not add more games to the season.
No.
They're just not going to do it.
It's not, and I don't. They've got 2 more now than they used to.
Right.
So, it's like I said, the union. The union. I've had differences with them in the past, but I think they're right on the money on this one.
Yeah.
2 more games isn't going to help anything. Nope. That's not going to do anything for anybody. Now, if they can find a way for everybody to make a lot more money, maybe they'll do something about it. But right now, this isn't the time with all the stuff about concussions.
Yeah, well, and that's really the union's position. There's no point in adding more games. It's not necessary.
No,
and,
it isn't.
It only exposes their players to being injured.
Sure. Well, that just makes sense. I mean, the more chances you play in legitimate games, the more chances you have of getting your bell rung or breaking a leg or tearing a ligament. I mean, it's just, But like I said, so don't mean to dwell on it, but by the same token, I find that the exhibition football season, they've got these games, they promote them. Oh, Eagles, Seahawks tonight, 7:30. And I think, what? You're going to see the 4th-string quarterback for the Eagles, and he's going to be throwing the ball in the dirt, and they're going to be saying, well, he's got to get that worked out, and I think, yeah, but it's just lousy football. You want to see good football, you're not going to see it.
Right.
And maybe the game before the season opens, I'd watch it just to see if the team's ready to go.
Right.
But that's about as far as I'd go with it. But so there's where it stands. And a couple other things I wanted to talk about. And just going to use football as my segue, but I don't know if you heard about this, but the Illinois University, the Fighting Illini, they've agreed to stop playing war chant music during the football games.
Okay.
And
play Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Yeah, let's see if they can play Pop Goes the Weasel or something. I mean, it's just to me, is this not just overrun political correctness?
Yeah. Yep. It's out of control.
Who cares what you play?
Right.
Who cares? I mean, but okay. The university. I like this. The school's former mascot was Chief Illiniwek. The decision.
How racist.
He's the one that started it. But the decision to stop using music was made at the end of last football season, said their AD. AD guy, and he just decided to let everybody know now, as opposed to at the beginning of the year. And I just think, and while we're on the political correctness, are you aware of this Robert Lee?
Yes.
What can you think of anything more atrocious in terms of does somebody really think that an Asian announcer named Robert Lee shouldn't be allowed to broadcast a Southern University I don't understand it. Yeah. What was your take on that?
I thought it was ridiculous, but I also thought, okay, ESPN, typical.
Yeah, but I mean, but there is no explanation for it. And
well,
if the explanation is that his name is the same as Robert E. Lee's, what has that got to do with it?
The president of ESPN said they did not want to subject Robert Lee to unwarranted taunting by fans.
Did he care? I don't think he did.
I don't even think anybody would have made the connection. I mean, you're there to watch, a basketball game or a football game, whatever it was, and
he's not Robert E. Lee, right?
No.
So he's Robert Lee,
right?
So his name sort of sounds like the other name,
and he's an announcer. I don't think people are getting all worked up over an announcer at a football game.
No, I agree with you 100%. But I just find this.
So now, if any announcers have any kind of, historical names, they have to change it, I guess.
Yeah, what do you boy, you don't want to be Abe Lincoln and get into broadcasting, or you don't want to be Lyndon Johnson,
Right.
or John Kennedy, God forbid,
Right.
or Richard Nixon, or what. I mean, but somebody's got to have a brain and say, okay, enough, this is silly. But they're not.
Right.
And
Well, I was listening to a Fox Sports announcer dude, and he was talking about typically all of the so-called journalists. I don't, sports reporters.
yeah,
They're also 96% vote for Democrats.
well, that's probably true. I would think that anybody in the entertainment business
Right.
would probably be that way. But you know what? But the point. How do I say this intelligently? Which is going to be a challenge. The fact of the matter is, though, that it doesn't. The name doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When would the name ever matter?
Right.
Never.
Right.
I mean, I'm just amazed that somebody can think that that's a legitimate beef. But enough.
I'm just thinking of that. There's a Seinfeld episode
What's that?
where Elaine is dating the guy who has the same name as a serial killer.
Well, I don't mean I'm not. But you know what? There,
But
we're not laughing.
Well,
we're
it's
not
the
laughing.
absurdity of it.
Yes, that's
you know?
right. That's right.
And how they're at some football game or something, and they announce, they ask for that guy to come to the, will call window. And I forget the serial killer's name, but it's like, and she's all embarrassed, and she starts talking to him about you should change your name.
Well, to me, it's just silliness personified, and I really do. I feel like a sucker when I watch somebody, and then this is what they come up with.
Yeah.
Robert Lee. I mean, why would they hire him?
They had to send him north of the Mason-Dixon line to do a game.
And,
I think.
Do you think what people north of the Mason-Dixon line won't taunt him about his name?
I don't think anybody was going.
No,
to
that's
taunt
my.
him.
Well, thank you. That's my whole point.
Right.
The point is, the name has nothing to do with anything.
Right.
But that's the world we live in right now, and while we're talking about that, also, let's talk about Maria Sharapova.
There you go.
All right, she is back.
Yeah.
She's going to play in the U.S. Open. I think they gave her an open invite.
Yes, they did.
And because her suspension, I guess it's coming to an end. But is it?
No, I believe it has.
Oh, it
ended.
has finished.
Yeah.
Okay. And
But
she didn't earn her way into the field.
They gave her
an
an exemption. Yeah.
And she probably has won it in the past. I'm betting.
Right.
So let's talk about her because I haven't thought about Maria Sharapova in 18 months. She was a top player.
Yeah.
Probably hasn't played in 18 months. I'm sure she's practiced a lot. Probably hasn't lost a whole lot, but probably hasn't played under the quote unquote big pressure of the matches. But she got herself a really, really interesting first round draw against Simona Halep, who is I think the second or third seed.
Mm.
And Simona Halep hasn't been winning many championships lately. She always does well, but always manages to get her ears pinned back in the semis or even the finals in a couple tournaments. And as far as I don't know if it's something that everybody's going to allude to, but let's talk about what she did. She took some kind of drugs that weren't on the approved list.
Right.
And do you, like me, do you think that when the players say, I didn't know that it was bad for me and I just took it anyhow,
Well,
do you believe that?
No.
I don't.
But, and I hate to do the but, it was actually something she was taking before, and it wasn't banned.
So?
And then they banned it, and I guess she can. Well, I'm just saying that was.
If you were making $10 million a year, and the only thing that could derail you from making that was that you would lose your ability to play if you were taking, quote, any of these substances.
Right.
And you don't think you would pay attention to that on a daily basis to make sure that you aren't doing something wrong that you should be? I mean, I just can't believe that she doesn't have a press agent or she doesn't have an office manager or something for her business that could say, by the way, you're not taking this, are you?
Right.
But I mean, because she's hardly 15 to 20 athletes have gone into the old, I didn't know I was doing
Right.
anything wrong. I didn't think it was bad. I've been taking it before. But I don't buy the argument at all.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean, so yes, did she pay her time? You said it was Tracy Austin said she paid her time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she did. So she's back. Michael Vick, by the way, just got hired by CBS to announce.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously, having dogs slaughter each other for profit doesn't cost you a gig with them. So, good for him. But getting back, I'm just being snarky. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, she paid her dues.
Yeah.
She's probably going to have a couple people boo her.
They don't do that in tennis.
Oh yeah. What the point I'm trying to make is, just
Well, I know some of the players have come out and said why is she
playing?
getting this exemption.
Yeah, that's right, and they should matter, frankly.
Yeah.
So that's the scoop on that. But another segment has come and gone. I know Greg has just picked up the phone, but I am going to tell you that we've got a lot of things going to be happening on the show for the rest of the morning, and one of them is Coach Mark Oates will be calling from Leesburg High School.
He is actually on the line.
He's
right
on
now.
the line, so we will carry over,
Yeah.
and when we come back, we will have Coach Oates. That'll be fantastic.
Very good.
Thank you.
You're listening to WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We're sponsored by Bill Bryan, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. And we will be right back with Coach Oates after these messages from our sponsors. We are back with Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410. And Coach Mark Oates is on the line with us. How are you, Coach?
I'm good. How are you guys this morning?
Real good, thanks, Coach. And I wanted to let's get right to it. You kick off the season 35-20 with a victory. Were you surprised? Is this what you expected? Give me a feel for how the team performed as in relation to your expectations.
Well, we prepare to win every day. So anytime we step on the field, we expect to win. I thought the kids played hard last night. In a lot of ways, it was a sloppy game, both sides. We had 17 penalties, which is way too many, which cost us some points. South Sumter had some issues with snapping the ball.
But that's usual first game stuff, though, don't you think? I mean, you don't want it to be, but I mean, as a coach, I'm sure that's not something you find acceptable, but you can kind of expect a little bit of it, maybe.
Well, you're going to have some issues here and there, but 17 penalties, that's uncalled for.
Yeah. Well,
we got to be better than that.
Well, let's go offensively first. How about the execution? Everything worked. Were you pleased with the performance?
We thought we could hurt them with the pass, and we did. We didn't run the ball as well as I would have liked for us to. That's something that's an ongoing project for us, trying to develop our running game. We had too many drops in the passing game. So, I mean, we're happy with the win, don't get me wrong, but there's a whole lot of stuff that we need to clean up, and we need to clean it up fast. But, all in all, we were able to score enough points to win. So I guess at the end of the day,
That's what you're trying to. That's what you're trying to accomplish. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. How did your quarterbacks or quarterback or how did they perform?
Our quarterback he threw the ball well. There were some throws that I'm sure he would like to have back. He ran the ball well. I thought our receivers did a good job of, for the most part, catching the ball and making yards after the catch. So as far as the passing game goes, there were some good things. I thought our offensive line provided a decent pocket most of the night. So there were some positives.
Well, I think that's fantastic. Now, do you opening game like this? Do you give out the game balls? Did you have some guys that you felt were particularly outstanding?
What we do after we watch film, we pick out some guys that we thought do a good job in each area.
Great out well, yeah,
yeah, offensively, defensively, and special teams. From the offensive side of the ball. Again, I thought Wyatt played well. I thought Cordreas Graham provided a big spark for us. A.J. Graham did some good things. And Raheem Kyler. I thought T.J. Manuel ran the ball a little tougher than he's been running the ball. Defensively, J.D. Gardner had a good game, but he ended up hurting his knee late, so we're waiting to find out
on that. Okay.
What the deal is there. So, and Kyler Matucci, he made all of his extra points, so that was a good thing.
So the kicking game was working.
Right.
Fantastic. I'll tell you what, and I got to ask you this, and this is your chance to get detailed on us. Obviously, there's some things that need work even after a big win like that. What are you going to be working on this week that just wasn't acceptable to you? Obviously, you were talking about the penalties, just in the execution of the team offensively and defensively.
Well, again, we're going to do what we do every week. We're going to work on all phases and try to get better at everything we do, but we're definitely going to address the penalty situation and trying to become mentally tougher and stronger. Physically, I think we're providing the effort that we need. We just need to hone our mental skills a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's as honest as it gets, and I appreciate that. Tell you what, let's talk about your next opponent. Who do you got coming up? What do you?
We will be hosting Eustis on Thursday. The game is going to be on Thursday this week. Eustis has some really good athletes. They'll provide a great challenge for us. They're athletic. They play hard, and it's Eustis and Leesburg, so.
I was going to say
schools get together,
I was going to say there's not. I don't think anybody has to be introduced. I think both the schools know each other pretty well.
Correct.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, okay. So you talked about the one gentleman maybe having a knee problem, but other than that, do you think you came out of the first game? I don't want to say unscathed, but the medical report isn't too bad.
Yes, the only serious injury was to JD.
Mm-hmm.
We have a few more guys with some bumps and bruises.
Sure,
but that happens every game.
So we're talking a lot of offense. How did you feel the defense side of the ball went?
Well, defensively, I thought we did well in pretty much everything except for covering. We didn't cover the option, the pitch man too well. So that's something that we will address this week. I thought we were more physical than we've been in the preseason games that we played. Actually saw some guys sticking guys with their shoulder pads instead of playing the touchy-feely game. So
I love it.
We got physical last night. Coach Freeze and the defensive staff, they've been doing a tremendous job all year. Early on, defense has kept us in games. South Sumter had several opportunities last night in the red zone, and we turned them back with either fumbles or stopping them on downs. And so the defense is really doing some good things. And normally your defense is ahead of the offense early in the season. But we're just going to keep working and trying to get better.
Yeah. Well, I knew you were talking. You said obviously the kicker converted all his points, but let's talk about the special teams. Were you happy with the coverages? Were you happy with the? I don't know how many times you had to punt, but did you feel like everybody was executing special team wise when you're trying to win the battle of field position?
I thought we covered much better than we have in the scrimmages. The guys got down the field. They threw their bodies around. They were more physical.
That's great.
And that's what we've been looking for. So, yeah, special teams-wise, I saw some good things.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, okay, so I know that you've been saying that we've got some things we've got to address. What's the this week? What's the one thing? What's the first thing you're going to stress to them based on their performance on the first week?
Penalties.
Uh-huh.
We got to cut down on the penalties, and a lot of the penalties we got last night were just of the knucklehead variety.
Oh, yeah, okay, all right.
We've got to cut that out. We're not good enough to shoot ourselves in the foot.
Right.
Well, like I said, that's spoken like a good coach. And I know when people say, what do you mean by the knucklehead variety? You're talking about maybe a late hit or maybe a hold or a block.
Talking more of blatant blocks in the back.
I was just going to say a block in the back. Yeah, that's the classic. But that's apparently that doesn't.
The guy's back,
That doesn't stop even in the pro level. Every time I turn on a pro game, there's got to be 7 illegal blocks in the back every time. So I mean,
right.
That's a tough thing. I guess guys think they can get away with it, but there's some guys out there with striped shirts that think otherwise. But okay. So assessing offensively and defensively, 35-20, and how does South Sumter stack up to say Eustis, or is it too early for you to tell that?
Well, I think it's too early. I will say this. I mean, South Sumter. They're South Sumter. I mean, as I've told our guys all week, they have tradition on their side.
Mm-hmm.
They wear T-shirts that say "Tradition never graduates," and I have the utmost
pretty
respect
good. I like that. Yeah,
I have the utmost respect for South Sumter and their coaching staff and what they're trying to get done over there and the way they do it. It reminds me of the program I grew up playing in, and South Sumter at the end of the year. They're going to still be South Sumter. Trust me. They have a good ball club.
Well, is there anybody, and you may not want to mention names, but you can, is there anyone on the team that exceeded your expectations?
Exceeded? No, sir, I wouldn't say that because, I have high expectations.
Yeah, I was going to say your
expectations.
I bet.
And, but, as I said, it was a team effort. The guys played well. I will single out one guy, though.
Good.
Sebastian Clark, who is a undersized offensive lineman. We had to put him in. He looks more like a receiver, but he's a tough little kid, and he's a fighter. And he did some good things in there at guard against guys that are much bigger than him.
Right.
So his attitude in there last night was good. So if I had to single someone out, it would be him.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, let's talk about him a little bit. So he's not your basic starting offensive lineman.
No, he looks like he should be a drummer in a rock band or something. But he plays hard. He's got some fire in him. Sometimes that fire works against him, but he's a hard playing little guy.
So he earned his time on the field then last night.
He did. And,
that's fantastic.
I'm very proud of his effort.
Well, I'll tell you what, Coach, this is great. What a great way to start off the year. Do me a favor. You got some time right now. You got the audience. Let's talk about what you need, what you're expecting from the fans and the fan base and the team for this the home opener on Thursday night. Let's talk about it. What are you looking for?
We're starting a new tradition here at Leesburg. We're going to have a preschool pep rally Thursday morning, and we're calling it the Jacket Blackout. And we're asking that all of our students and faculty wear black T-shirts to school and to the game, and we also want to extend that to all our fans. We want the place packed on Thursday night, and we'd love to have everybody in black T-shirts and just something we're gonna start here and try to get this thing going. As I told the guys when I took the job, we're not going to take a back seat to anybody. We want to win. We want to win now, and we're going to prepare to win. I know the teams we play are preparing also, but Leesburg High School is not going to take a back seat to anyone, and we're not going to back down from anyone. We're going to respect everybody, but we'll fear no one.
That's fantastic. And you know what? The fans got to realize that the home, you're supposed to win at home. You want to. They should be your 12th man, so to speak. And they got. It sounds to me like you got the pieces in place to have a pretty doggone good year, and they just got to realize their part in it. They just can't sit back and say, "Oh well, did you go to the football game?" No, I didn't. I mean, the idea is to go and cheer and let the players hear you, and obviously they'll be hearing you, I'm sure, in their other ear. And I think between that, I think that's something that you really. The players they got to realize the benefit of a thriving crowd. They just got to realize how it helps the team.
Definitely.
So how did you enjoy your Lakefront TV debut?
Hey, you guys and Lakefront TV, the whole collaboration is awesome. I love it. I think our kids and our staff, enjoy it. And anytime that we can shine a positive light on Leesburg High School and Leesburg High School football, hey, that's just a plus. And we appreciate what you guys do.
Well, I tell you what,
looked like you were all having some fun there.
And you got a face for TV. You're looking good on there, Coach. That's fantastic.
Well, I have to fault my parents for that. I come from good stock.
There's nothing wrong with coming from good stock. But I'll tell you what, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I think one last question: who came up with the jacket blackout? I really like that. But was that yours?
Well, yeah. Well, actually. I introduced it to Leesburg, but when I was at West Orange High School, each Friday morning they do Warrior Roundup and Warrior Wake Up. I'm sorry, and I was just amazed the first time I experienced it. Just a courtyard full of kids and the band and the cheerleaders and the football team, student body. It just made you excited.
Sure,
made you want to work Friday, and you couldn't wait to get to the game. So.
Right.
I want to try to bring some of that here to Leesburg and see if we can't get it off the ground and reach the level that West Orange does with it. So just trying to do something to make it more than just football. We want our games to be an event, not just a game. We want people to be able to enjoy it, and eventually we'll get to the point where we can provide other activities during the game. Leesburg High School, we're heading in a new direction from the top down, and I just want football to uphold our end of that bargain.
I'll tell you what, good football teams, it is an event. And so it seems like me that all the pieces are in place. And I'll tell you what, I want to, like I said, we're running out of time here, but I want to thank Coach Mark Oates, Leesburg High School. They are off and running with 35-20 victory over South Sumter, and they are home Thursday to Eustis. You got to go to the ball game. I know you got nothing else to do. Everybody out there, go support these guys. The coach is doing a great job. The players are putting in the effort. Let's make the visiting team. Let's make Eustis not know what hit them. So I think that's fantastic. And I really appreciate you taking time out of a busy schedule to spend some time with us, Coach. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for the call. Thanks, Coach.
Yes,
Take
sir.
care.
Have a good day.
Thank you, Coach.
You bet.
You too. Very nice.
He's just a solid citizen. You can tell.
Absolutely.
There's a guy that has a passion. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach. You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here in WQBQ, the voice of Lake County. We're sponsored by Bill Bryant Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their number is 352-787-2223. You can head on over there for an oil change or have your car serviced. They've got a great service department, and Ron Delgado is in the service department, and he's also is the broadcaster for the games at Leesburg High School. So you get to meet him in person. And we'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors. We're back with Hour 2 of Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. And we've got a panoply of subjects to address.
I don't even want to look that up, but first things first, again, to Coach Oates, you can just tell I was just talking to Greg off the air while the commercials were going on. There's a guy, when you hear him talk, he's just not shooting off the seat of his pants. This guy knows what he believes in. You don't hear him go right. But he doesn't duck anything. He is so focused on the objective at hand that it just trips right off his tongue. And I really appreciate that. There's nothing even the slightest bit political in terms of how he wants to state.
Right.
He'll tell you exactly how he feels. And I love that.
Yes.
Here's the guys that are doing it. Here's what we need to work on. He didn't say, "Oh, well, I'd say wasn't it great to win the first game?" And he just said, "No, here's what we got to do."
Right.
He said, "We want to get better." It's one step of a 10-step process, and he's going to take it to the next step.
He's got a plan, and he's executing.
That's exactly well put. That's exactly what he's doing. Well, we have a couple things before we get into baseball. We got a lot to talk about with Major League Baseball, to be sure. But let's first of all, we always like to do the over/under, and there are the semifinals in Connecticut, the Connecticut Open. The two semifinals were played, and the overs both won. So Dominika Sablikova beat Elise Mertens, and Darla Gavrilova beat Agnieszka Radwanska, who was number 1 seed. So you got over against over. So it's a +2. The over can't lose. So an over is going to win that tournament. I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going out on a limb, so I think that's fantastic. And as much as I think that's fantastic, something that I think isn't fantastic, and I guess I'm kind of feeding the frenzy too, but I'm just not. The Colin Kaepernick thing keeps popping up, and ESPN keeps driving it in that this man's a victim, and why can't we leave him alone? And I don't think that. And now they've got the Jacksonville coach saying, "Well, we'll talk to him, or we'd like to have him on the team." Then sign him.
Right.
I mean, I don't understand. As we were talking about, if I own a team, or if I coach a team, I don't want to alienate fans.
Sure.
And I'm sorry, Colin, you did that on your own.
Right.
And if everybody want to act like you have a right to do whatever you did, but everybody else has got a right to do what they do.
Well, see, I don't think this is where I don't think he had a right to do.
I know you don't, but I do.
If he called a press conference outside of the stadium and did what he did, he has every right to do that. He doesn't have the right to use somebody else's property to do his political nonsense. If you did that in your job or me, we would be fired.
Yes, but by the same token,
okay.
In terms of his individual right, he has the individual right to get himself fired. Oh. That's my whole point. Right. The point is, and that's how silly the arguments become.
Right.
Yes, he had a right now, and to his credit or discredit, or to their credit or discredit, now you got 4 or 5 guys. They're going to do it. And I got to believe, if it's now popping up now, I think there's an attention-getting aspect to it. Yeah. And he was the first. Good for him. Now anybody that decides to kneel or sit during this the national anthem, or anybody that wants to support him, that's old school. I'm sorry.
Right.
If you wanted to do it, you should have been doing it when Colin did it in the first game.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, here's where I stand on Colin Kaepernick. If he's a good quarterback, I guarantee he'll get a spot in the NFL.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Right.
Because their job is to win football games. And if he's not, he won't.
Right.
And yes, I do agree with this. If it comes down to him and 3 other guys, and as a coach and as a president of the club or director of player operations, I think, well, they're all about the same, but this one's probably going to upset 35% of the people. I probably won't take him.
Right.
And I think that's what he put himself in.
And that's, to me, that's legitimate.
Yes.
That's not
that's not
illegitimate like these
isn't.
writers keep spouting off on.
No.
Is that he can have his opinion, but the owners and GMs can't have theirs.
That's what I mean. He can do what he thinks right, but they can't do what they think's right. And that's the hypocrisy of it to me. So we'll leave that go. But that's the end of the Colin Kaepernick story this week. I'm sure. Stay tuned.
I can assure
the soap opera will continue if somebody
you,
signs him.
I can assure you, if there was a player out there who wore a "Let's Make America Great Again" cap and Trump stickers all over himself, he'd be excoriated and thrown out and never to return.
Well, I agree with that. And now you said panoply and excoriated. I'm going right to the thesaurus here, but you know what's going to happen, and this is the problem I have. This is going to breed. I guarantee, folks, this is going to breed. Now, say somebody signs Colin Kaepernick. Say Jacksonville signs him.
Right.
Okay. Now, if there's if he's not their starting quarterback. Now, everybody's going to question why he isn't if the first quarterback's not doing a very good job. And to me, then it becomes a personnel decision.
Yeah.
The guy's trying to win games. He'll play. If the other guy, if they have a better chance to win with him than the other guy,
right,
he'll play.
Yeah, they they're like, I don't know, they're like locusts. And I'm talking about these journalists in sports.
They don't want to miss the story.
No, but they just make up stuff. And to your point.
Oh, you don't mean fake news, do you?
No. well, I mean they formulate these. They create these situations of
tempest and teapots. Sure, absolutely.
So to your point of. If he got signed by, say, Jackson, and he was a backup quarterback, then they'll move on to, well, he's a backup because they made some sort of agreement that, to shut him up.
That was my point. Yeah.
And then you'll just hear endless stories about that, how they put him in the corner. And
well, you're going to hear it now because if he gets in a game and he stinks.
Yeah.
Well, he's been out. He obviously hasn't been playing, and if he has a good game, well, obviously he should be starting.
Right.
And I mean, so this ain't going away.
No.
But it's not driven by the public.
No.
It's driven by it's a media created frenzy.
Right.
And it is fake news. Sorry about that. But that's where I am on that. So enough of that. Now let's talk about baseball.
All right.
Baseball and the fact that you've got some teams. The Dodgers continue. Let's talk about the big stories in baseball. The Dodgers are still. I'm sorry.
My guy Curtis Granderson out there, huh?
Curtis and Granderson kicked the crap out of the Pirates, but he can get in line on that. Curtis Granderson's going to bat under 250 for the Dodgers before the year's up. Guaranteed. We'll have a bet on the air right now. I'll bet you $2.
Well,
Curtis Granderson has a batting average with the Dodgers of less than 250.
But he'll hit 7 home runs.
I don't care about that. I don't want. This isn't Trumbo.
6 of them will be game winners.
No. So those 6 will be against the Pirates. But that's okay too. So I'm glad he found a place, and it makes him look like they know what they're doing. Because the guy comes in and immediately jacks a couple home runs, 1-1 a game for him.
Yeah.
So you can't. They're not dumb. They know what they're doing.
He's hit 3 home runs with him.
Yeah, I know.
And a grand slam.
I know. So, I'm not. I'm talking about his batting average. I didn't say how many home runs he's going to hit. I said his batting average. Oh. Okay. Sorry, I know you're a Curtis Granderson fan.
No, I just like annoying you with.
Well, you've annoyed me, but something that's not going to annoy either of us is, and this is a heck of a story, is Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah.
I've been not rough on him because he could care less what I have to say about him, but he went into some funks where he was swinging at pitches that weren't even close to the strike zone. But now he's putting up batting average numbers near 300, 290, and he's hitting literally a home run every other day. And what he's done in the last 50 games, I'm going to say it's like 27 or 28. That's near ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it's going. I don't know if it's if he's going up there swinging for the fences, and I don't think he is. But he's actually carrying that team, and that team is actually still has a pulse in the playoff hunt.
Right.
But that's about all it has. But and unfortunately, I don't think he can continue this pace If he can, great for him. That's superhuman. If he can't, he's just like every other player that got hot and then cooled off a little bit. But I don't want to.
That's baseball. Who's ever really been, from day one to the end?
That's my point. So the point is, I don't want to see everybody say, "Oh, he's sliding."
Right.
He's not sliding. He just can't continue to hit a home run every game and a half or whatever he's doing, which is phenomenal. But he really is making a statement, and I think we talked about this off the air also. Is he on the? Is he somebody worth trading?
Oh, they're saying that's a done deal.
He's going to be traded.
Oh yeah, after the season.
Yeah,
because obviously
they're not going to be able to afford him.
Well, yeah, they'll cut. They're going to try to shape the team into whatever they think is the future for the new ownership.
Sure.
And if they could get a lot of prospects for him, I think they will deal him. And if I were Miami, I would deal him because he is a fragile guy. He's a guy that's been injured almost every.
Well, yeah, he tweaks. He's pretty muscular. Yeah. He's always tweaking something. Well, he swings so hard sometimes too. He's like, he's not going to make it through. But he.
I mean, if you're a Miami fan, that's going to hurt.
Oh yeah.
But
he should be able to bring the King's ransom.
Yeah.
If somebody, you should be able to get some. You should be able to get 2 starters.
Yeah.
And maybe even a good pitcher for him.
Yeah.
If you find the right team, and I think you will find the right team.
Yeah.
If you want to go to the Yankees, or if you want to go to the Cubs, or whoever you want to go to, but he is fragile. You make a good point. I mean, to get him, and then have him be out for 1/4 of the games. Is going to make it really not very cost effective,
right? And I know I understand from a fan perspective, if you're a Miami fan, you don't want to see him go. It hurts even if you get some top prospects because obviously you don't want to flounder for 2 or 3 years. But it probably is the right thing to do. I mean, I think what is he, 27 or 28?
Yeah, he's 20. I think he's 27.
Yeah, and boy, he's right in the years of probably his most productive.
He got 8 years where he's just going to be really good.
Yeah,
maybe even more than that.
Yeah.
But I can see where he would just scream DH if you wanted to, if you felt that he physically wasn't able to. I mean, if he wanted to, he can go to L.A. or he go to New York and DH and
Yeah.
But we'll see. Well, that's interesting. We'll see where that takes us.
We'll see what Derek Jeter has up his sleeve.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly right. But
I wonder how fans of Miami feel about that.
Yeah.
I know there's been some rumblings in New York, like, how could Derek Jeter do that? He's a Yankee. Well, like they're not giving him.
Not anymore, is it? The fact of the matter is, he owns a team.
Right.
So he's
like a 1%.
He can root for the Yankees. Good grief.
Yeah.
It's Miami, for God's sake.
Right.
They're in the other league, different divisions altogether. So we'll see what it gives. But that'll be great because eventually their paths will cross during the seasons.
Yeah.
But so as I look at the teams.
Yes.
And you got New York and Boston. And I see Sabathia pitched a good game last night.
He did.
Chapman didn't. And the fact of the matter is there's a perfect example of your closer not quite getting it done.
Well, he's not their closer anymore.
No, I know, but they were forced to use. I mean, there you go. So that's a 4 or 5 games, and that adds up in the standings where your closer or your quote closer didn't get it done.
Yeah.
And that's 4 games they could have won that they didn't.
Yep.
Doesn't mean that, but I'm just saying because you keep running them out there and putting them into situations where the game's on the line. I don't know that that's smart. But
he came in the 10th inning. He was not, still. It was 2-2.
It was still, it was tied.
Yeah,
you're right.
And
he got hit. Somebody got a hit off him.
Crushed a home run.
Yeah. So there you go. So that being said, all the baseball you want to know when we come back after the break. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You're listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We're sponsored by Bill Bryant, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. And if you'd like to be part of our show, give us a call at 352-315-1410. And we will be right back after these messages from our sponsors. And that was our fast break. We're back. The Red Zone Radio Sports here in WQBQ 1410. And we are talking about baseball.
Baseball been very, very good to me. And the fact of the matter is that let's talk about the American League. Let's just hit the divisions real quick. New York, Boston.
Well, you keep saying New York, Boston, and it's Boston, New York.
Well, I'm saying
I want to be accurate, even
though
I don't like Boston.
I didn't think. Well,
I don't like their beans,
but I
don't like their teams.
I preferred to do it by the second place team.
Oh, okay.
Moving up, but the point is,
Gotcha.
they're 4 back in the loss column, and that's really what I pay attention to most.
Yes.
So it's a 4-game differential, even though it's 4.5 because they played one less game in terms of that. But the fact is, Sabathia came back and pitched a pretty good game.
Yes.
And that's good. And Robertson, Betances, Green, all solid relievers. But like I said, Chapman got lit up.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to get it. He's making an awful lot of money to be getting lit up. His ERA, and this is a ERA for a relief pitcher, is 4.23.
Yeah.
Not good.
Nope.
And this is why I totally am against quote-unquote closers. What you do, and like I said, the Pirates have shot their year by trying to stuff guys into segments that they don't belong in, because you got to go with who's pitching well.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't the idea to win the game that night, and then you can make adjustments to the next game?
Right.
But what you can't do is you can't let a key game go trying to bring in somebody. You know who's pitching well and who isn't.
Yeah.
Bring in somebody who's pitching well. And if he can't pitch the next night, so be it. But don't let the game, pass you by. And that's exactly what a lot of teams do.
Yeah.
And I hate to see, obviously, he's lost his medal as a closer, but I sure as heck hope.
Well, you know who's been touching them up are lefties.
Well, that's surprising to me too.
Yep.
So that he's tipping something or doing something.
That's actually what they were talking about in the game last night. He must be doing something different where lefties are picking up his pitches.
Well, that's his job. Is he's supposed to be unhittable?
Yeah.
To lefties with as hard as he throws.
Right.
So I mean, you don't throw 100 miles an hour and get lit up, but he's doing it. So, so if I were the Yankees, I'd mop him up a little bit. I actually wouldn't mind starting him. I said, you want to get some work? Let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. Yeah. But I can't. I don't see the point of running him into key situations.
Well, but see, they had used Robertson and.
But they didn't have to. Did they have to? It's the American League. Yeah. Do you have to pitch 1 inning? Here, I got it in front of me. Green 1 inning. Betances 1 inning. Robertson 1 inning. Right. Eventually, you're going to run out of pitchers, and you're going to have to go with a guy with a 4.23 ERA who's going to come in with the game on the line, and he didn't do it.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it the other 5 games in the last 2 weeks.
Right.
So the fact of the matter is, are you telling me there's a reason you have to yank Betances after an inning? You have to yank Robertson after an inning?
Yeah,
they're pitching well?
I don't know. I know those guys. I guess the argument that you're making is, yes, they should go more than 1 inning, but they can't.
Why?
Because that's what they're set up to be, is 1 inning. And
but that's the problem.
No, I know. I understand that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not saying that they you can't put them in a second inning. They just don't perform when you put them in for a second inning.
Who says?
Their track record.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. If they've got that data down, okay. But
they're very reluctant to bring these guys in.
If I'm a coach, and this is just me.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
No,
I'm
I
just
know.
saying
I know.
How
somebody goes out and strikes out 3 people.
Right.
And I don't have to sit them on the bench or bat for them. Come back out and pitch some more. Somebody gets a line drive. all right, I'll think about it. But the fact is, if nobody's even putting the bat on the ball, and nobody's even putting the bat on the ball against these guys, Betances going to walk a guy or two, but
Right.
he's tough to hit.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that you're doing something wrong as a manager if you are stuck in a key game. I mean, this was a major game in
Yes.
there, and it's at home, and you're stuck where you got to throw a guy who's been getting shelled.
Yeah.
You can't, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have. Now, if it's the 19th inning, okay, I get it. Don't tell me the 11th inning. You're out of options.
Right.
Don't tell me that. But that's me. I've been through that scroll many times before, so I'm not going to do that anymore. But and recap.
Well, the sad thing in that game is the Yankees left the bases loaded 3 times. I don't know.
That is well. That's if you're a Yankee fan, that's sad. No question. All right. By the way, I'm just and while we're doing this, I'm not to bore you, but the recap of the suspensions.
Okay.
Let's see. Miguel Cabrera banned 7 games. New York Yankee catcher Sanchez got 4. Also, let's see. Also suspended were Tigers reliever Alex Wilson, New York 4 games. New York catcher Austin Romine 2 games, and Detroit manager Brad Ausmus 1 game. And I'm here to tell you, Betances, who threw the ball, didn't get anything. He's going to get fined maybe, but he didn't get suspended.
Yeah.
So you got to love it.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? If he's doing what he's told, then he would have gotten into trouble either way.
Well, I think Girardi was already thrown out of the game at that point, but not to say that he's not in the runway of.
Yeah.
You know.
Who knows? Yeah. We'll never know that, nor do I care to know about that. But let's talk about your Yankees. You got Judge batting .283 now. You got Sanchez at .277. Gregorius still really doing the job for him. Having Hicks back's going to help him. Gardner's given up some batting average for added power. And Chase Headley, for God's sake, is batting .274.
Yeah.
And Todd Frazier just isn't getting it done for him, is he?
No.
But they had to take a crack at it because he'll bop a few homers out and you think you got it made. But that's the scoop. Okay, so that's the AL East. AL Central. Cleveland has now got it up to 6 games over Minnesota, and Kansas City fading fast, but they could turn it around. Minnesota, that guy deserves Coach of the Year. If they make the playoffs, with the team they got, and they lost that Sano guy. He's out for about 5 weeks.
Right.
They're playing great without him, and I wouldn't mind seeing him on the trading block.
Yeah,
I think he's a dog.
Bartolo Colon, what did he pitch? 6 2/3?
6 2/3 for 9 hits and a run. But look at this. Look at this parade of
9 hits.
But you know what you gotta like is Minnesota. Here's the reliever parade after Cologne.
Right.
Busenitz, Rogers, Hildenberger, and Curtis. Now I don't know.
Sounds like a law firm.
That is exactly right. That's a law firm. But they're bringing them out, and they somehow got the job done.
So right now the Twins are holding that second wild card spot.
They are at 62 losses. Yeah. So New York. Yeah. So they're a game up on Seattle, and the Angels and Texas actually is a couple back.
Yeah.
But there's your teams running for it. Minnesota, KC, Seattle, LA, and Texas. Yeah. Tampa Bay, I think we can say goodbye to. They're not gonna. And Baltimore, I think we can say goodbye to them too.
Right.
I might be wrong, but they're 4 or 5 back.
Well, I always say this, and I've told you this before. When you got to leapfrog a lot of teams, it's really hard.
Yeah,
even though
no
when you go, they're 4 games out, they're close. There's 30 games or whatever, 35 games left. But those other teams aren't all losing either.
You're right. So. No, you're exactly
I'm
right.
just saying, can it be done? Yes.
Sure.
The likelihood of it is probably not.
And as a moot point, well, you got Seattle and L.A. fighting for the last one, but in the West Division, Houston's just romping, and they're actually hurt.
Yeah.
And they're still romping away with things.
Right.
So that's the American League in a nutshell. National League, same thing with the Washington Nationals. They've got some guys on the disabled list, and they're running away with it. So.
Well, they lost to DeGrom last night. I won't say they lost to the Mets because.
Well, they lost to DeGrom, and And Cespedes is hurt, so he's out.
Yep, and so is Conforto. He's probably out for the rest of the season.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, like I said, but that's another neat thing now that teams do when they're out of it. You watch the Pirates who are now out of it. They're going to shut down Garrett Cole. They're going to shut down Taillon. They're going to shut down their pitchers because why? The games don't matter now because we're not going to win anything. So let's come up and see if we got anybody in the minor league to pitch baseball.
Should the Mets bring up Tim Tebow?
You know what? I'm going to bet that they do in September.
Right.
Don't you think?
I think they should.
I think they should.
But like you pointed out, and I didn't look it up. I should have looked this up. The
he's
media
probably
has been
batting
very
210.
silent right now.
Yeah, I
about
think
him.
he's in a slump at St. Petersburg. Just for, like Bill Veck.
Right.
Bring him up. Bat him. Start him.
Yeah.
Start him. Lead him off. What the heck? Then he can be the trivia question about other guys who have made the jump from the Major League Baseball to football and vice versa.
Right.
You got Deion Sanders and you got Bo Jackson.
Yeah, but those guys played. They were.
Yeah, they did. But you can still find an obscure guy.
Right.
Well, Tebow can play a couple games. What the heck? Bring him up and let him go. But, okay, National League. Miami, obviously, turning the corner. They are now 4 to 5 games out of a playoff spot. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and Stanton is just carrying them. Everybody else is lukewarm. Chicago is 2.5 on Milwaukee and 4.5 on St. Louis. Shame on them because that is that is by far the weakest division in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Louis, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati. That is all that's AAA except for Chicago, and Chicago can't pull away from them. And the race at 90 and 36 is what the Los Angeles Dodgers are. And they've got Colorado and Arizona who are now fighting for their playoff lives. They were up like 10 games 2 weeks ago. Now they're only 4 games up. Could be interesting. I don't believe Stanton's going to continue to carry the Marlins because I don't think he can continue to do what he's doing.
So I have a question for you about the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Are they going to set the all-time win record?
I don't know. I know that's not very much. The fact of the matter is, I would think not, because unless they're so good, nobody can beat them. But I guarantee you the last 3 weeks of the season, they're going to start. They're going to pitch guys once a week.
Right.
Just to end, they're going to pitch them 5 they would be idiots with that big a lead to risk losing any one of their parts.
Right.
All they got to do is make sure that the guy's keeping his hand in the in the action a little bit.
Yeah.
But my gosh, you can't. 90 and 36 is that. Washington is 76 and 50, which is ridiculous, and they'd be 14 games behind the top. That's just amazing to me. To have somebody with that kind of record is just. Houston and Washington would be 14 games behind, and they're lapping the field in their respective divisions. But that's just to me. What an amazing achievement for the Dodgers. And they've got guys on the team I just don't like. I don't like Puig. I really don't like Puig. They sent Peterson down, and they brought up Granderson. I said, well, that's kind of snotty. Granderson, to his credit, is thriving right now with them. I wouldn't count on him to continue to do it, but good for him. He's a pro.
Right.
He doesn't bellyache. He doesn't
He's a
scream
nice
and
guy.
yell. Yes, he seems like a very intelligent guy when you interview him. So that's great. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else worth talking about in baseball. You got Giancarlo Stanton,
right?
And that is, I guess the furor has died down on Judge, but just like the same thing that's happening to Judge could happen to Stanton.
And vice versa.
Yeah, you can't expect guys to, although knowing that Judge can get hot like that, he might get hot like that again.
Now, I'm a strong believer that the manager doesn't make a huge difference in a season.
Oh, I'm a huge proponent of that. I agree with you.
Well, I think there are some bad managers who can wreck a season, but generally, they say they're 4 or 5 games.
I think there's
way
some
or the
bad
other.
managers. I think there's some bad managers.
And so I just want to add one to the list. I'm not a fan of Don Mattingly. I just think he leaves the Dodgers, and then look what the Dodgers are doing. And
where's he done at Arizona?
No, he's in Miami.
Miami, that's right. That's right.
And Miami's obviously not going anywhere, but I just not a big fan of him, and he'll probably be a manager for 20 more years.
Or he'll be manager of the year. Although I can't see how you don't give what's his name.
But George Steinbrenner kind of ridiculed him as not a winner. And
Mattingly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, you know what?
George Steinbrenner, that unbiased judge of baseball talent.
When he retired, the Yankees went on a big streak of wins.
They sure did.
So
it was like celebratory.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. I have a problem, and I might be wrong, because I get to watch them all the time. I'm watching Boston.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I like Boston's manager.
No, I agree.
Farrell.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he's bad or dumb. I just find him to be. He's not proactive. He's reactive.
Yeah.
He doesn't come out and do something. He's a reactionary. That's not very fair for me to say. But my instinct in watching him manage is he's not a very good manager.
Right.
Now they're in first place by a lot, so I think the records do sometimes speak for themselves. But I just don't like the way he manages. Blank. End of story.
Right.
I don't like the way Clint Hurdle manages, and he's a legend in Pittsburgh.
Right.
So there are some guys that can do it, or they've once you get yourself established as a winning manager, Dusty Baker,
right,
and you get to come in. Dusty Baker's lapping the field in Washington.
Right.
He's one of the all-time great managers.
I'm
saying that knowing that Greg doesn't really think he is.
I'm not.
And I don't either.
I think my cat could do a great job in Washington. I forgot what I was going to say.
That's okay.
Say something.
It'll come to you. It'll come. Think about Dusty. Think about managers. Think about Don Mattingly.
Oh, I was talking about managers. I was going to bring up, you're talking about Farrell, where you kind of scratch your head on some of the moves he makes sometimes.
Yes, that's what I do.
And another guy is the Yankee manager, Joe Girardi. Even last night, it's like Didi Gregorius makes a really bad base running play.
Really bad.
Second base. But he slides in and he does the he's leading with one hand and he pulls his hand away, and he was actually safe. And he was called out. And you could see that on the replay. Like the first replay you look at, it's like he's safe.
The decision was wrong.
Right.
And Joe didn't challenge it.
And Joe Girardi just goes, and it was the 8th inning. It would have been 1st and 3rd with one out. And he doesn't call it, so the next guy, I think, puts into a double play or something. It was just, something ridiculous that happened. And you just wonder, here's a guy who argues everything, and then at this moment just doesn't do it. And it was so obvious. Everybody, like the announcers, were going, "Oh, well, this will be overturned."
This will be overturned,
and he's in the
said,
dugout.
"Nah."
Didn't pick up his hanky in the dugout.
Well, like I said, it's interesting. We're talking about the managers, and let's talk about the managers a little bit. How much impact do they have? That's it. We're not going to talk about managers now. Actually, we can talk a little bit after the break, but. Whoever's managing Minnesota deserves some kind of an award,
right?
Because that is a ragtag bunch of guys, and they're in the playoff hunt. You got to give them credit.
Yeah,
got to give them credit.
Yeah.
All righty.
You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We are sponsored by Bill Bryant Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. Our phone number here, is, if you want to call in on the last segment, is 352-315-1410. And we will be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Who let the dogs out?
Yeah,
that's
back.
what I want to know. Okay, I'm glad. Okay, I'll tell you what. We're in our last segment here, and we were talking about managers.
Yeah, Paul Molitor is the manager of the team.
Paul Molitor is doing a great job.
Yeah,
honest to God, I think he is. Okay, just a couple things I want to get into, and this is what I've been waiting for all year long. And the LPGA Canadian Women's Open.
You've been waiting all year long for that?
NG Chun is leading at 8 under par, but tied for 5th.
Uh-oh.
And this is just her last name. Santiwi Wathanafong. And I think she has like a first name that's as long as that.
Right.
I want to see, they're going to have to, you know how they go A-Rod and LeBron and KD? You're going to have to come up with Wee Wee or something for this girl. Santiwi Wathanafong is her last name. And now if you go down the leaderboard, you can find P. Thanapul Banyaras and Thidapa Suwanapura. Now, she has the small name. That Thidapa Suwanapura is that's nothing compared to Santiwi Wathanafong and Thanapul Banyaras. And the thing is, their first names, they only put their initial in.
Right.
They're like long, and they're like 4 syllables.
How do you call them for dinner when they're kids?
I just want to hear the announcer say, we go to number 13. Here's the putt for Santiwi Wathanafong. Holy mackerel! How can you say that and not laugh? You're gonna start laughing.
She's on her next hole.
Yeah, right. You can hear the people go "oh" or applaud while you're still saying her name.
Right.
But I just wanted to laugh because I noticed that over the last couple months that you're getting some names in there, and but even my Jatunagarns don't matter anymore. Araya and Moria,
right?
But you got to go with Santiwi Wathanafong, and I want her first name to be like 5 syllables. I think it is. So, but just like we'll get what's her name, Sanchez? Is it the girl? We'll get her calling her Wee Wee or Sandy or something. Fongy.
I don't think anybody wants to be called Wee Wee.
Fongy. Parable Thanapul Banyaras is the last name. Okay. So good to know. Let's see what else is exciting that's going on before we go into some of our semi-rants. But the fact of the matter is golf is this is a big golf. As you know, nobody can keep track of the FedEx Cup golf finals.
Right.
But this is the first stop on the PH or the Northern Trust, and it's at Old Westbury, New York. Of course, looks like it's really hard. But after 2 rounds, a fairly impressive leaderboard. Dustin Johnson, Ricky Fowler, Jordan Spieth, and Jonathan Vegas. And then 1 stroke back, Kuchar, Bubba Watson. I mean, that's Fowler, Johnson, and Spieth, I think, being tied for first has got to be a marketer's dream. That's what they want. So that's pretty impressive. Somebody will come in. Xander Schauffele is only 4 back, so Xander may come in and throw. And Patrick Reed, whose parents live in the Villages, he's only 4 back. So there's plenty of opportunities for people to grow.
Right.
Let's see who didn't make the cut. Zach Johnson, Bryson.
I just want to announce Ralph is in the house.
Ralph has made it. That's fantastic.
All right.
So we know that you're going to get that good old gospel music. So that's fantastic. River Jordan is just around the corner. But more importantly, so is Santiwi Wathanafong.
Yes.
So, and by first name, we don't know it. But that being the case, wanted to touch base on the significant cuts in the tournament. And this is what's confusing. This doesn't mean they're out of the FedEx Cup.
Right.
What's his name? Matsuyama, who was seeded first, didn't make the cut in this one, but he still gets to continue
Yes.
and play in another tournament. So a lot of people can't figure that one out. Jimmy Walker and Stuart Sink didn't make the cut. One of them probably can still play. Ollie Schneider-Jans probably won't make it back in, but he might. We'll see. But there you are. There's your squad.
I just want to say, no other sports radio show gives you this kind of information. All the listeners need to tell their friends.
Okay.
To listen to this show.
I think
and I'm not being sarcastic either.
What are you being?
Being sincere.
Oh, good. Okay.
Because this is great stuff.
It is. Wee Kim. Wee. W-H-E-E. That's his first name.
Right.
Wee Kim. No, this is good stuff. But in the meantime, when are you going to get this type of, laser-like focus? You're not going to get it from Santiwi Wathanaphong.
No.
See, I'm getting so good at it. I just want to say her name now because I can't mess it up.
I'm not even going to try.
Parabobanyaris and Santiwi Wathanaphong. Last names only. But, okay, so it's time to talk about college football for a little bit.
All right.
Because one of the things that, as you remember, I've always been disconsolate about is the rankings. Do we really need the preseason college rankings to determine our season? Who are the rankings out for? Does it really matter who's winning a race, a 5-mile race after 500 yards? I don't think so.
Well, after 5, does it? When they're in the starting blocks, it's not even that they're 500.
That's for me. I mean, it doesn't matter. And so yes, I understand. I understand the hype, but I don't understand the hype. I mean, does anybody really care who's 7th ranked in the country on September 1st? They shouldn't.
Not me.
I don't.
I don't pay attention to that
Yeah.
stuff.
What does that? Hey, we were number 7 and now we're number 12. I mean, what does it do to you? Like I said, I'm.
And they're fairly subjective. Even after a few games, I don't even like how they do it after a few games with points scored and opponent, strength of opponent stuff.
I can't figure that stuff out. And plus the strength of opponent. These games were all done like 7-8 years ago, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so you can't be accountable for how crummy your teams are unless you're playing Division II schools or something. But if I sign to play a decent team and they stink that year, like I said, a perfect example: Pitt and Penn State are playing the second game of the year at Penn State.
Right.
Are either of those teams any good? There's no way of knowing.
Right.
No way of knowing. Penn State had a dream season last year, and they lost a big lead and lost in the Rose Bowl to Southern Cal. Is that going to hurt them? Is that going to be a scar? Pitt beat them by 1 last year. Is that going to be a scar? Actually, I don't think it will be.
Right.
I have a feeling Pitt's not going to be. Pitt's got a coach that I like, but he's probably not good for the program because he's going around, calling out everybody. Any sports writer that writes a bad article,
he's not providing female escorts for his players.
No, he's not. He's doing it by the book, but he is. We'll see where it goes, and he'll do what every other coach does. If he wins a game or two, he'll go back to his alma mater. That's what Paul Chris did. He said, "I'm here. I'm going to save Pitt's program after 1 year. Hey, Wisconsin job's open. See ya." So that's what's going to happen. So I don't really pay much attention. Nor do I care much about the what do they call it? The not the drafts. What do you call recruiting?
Right.
I don't care at all about recruiting. Recruits until they're in your classroom, which may never happen, but until they've enrolled in your school, I don't care at all. These guys can change their mind at the drop of a hat and go someplace else at any time.
Yeah, the Clemson coach just got a big extension contract worth millions of dollars.
Well, that's one way to keep a guy from leaving.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, if their program goes back to where it was, they can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But somebody somewhere, that's a no lose, I think, for Clemson.
Sure.
If the coach goes south there, somebody will pay him more.
Yeah, but he's going to get recruits just by virtue of winning the national championship. So I mean,
do you really? That's my question.
Yeah, I think
you just touched on a really big point. Every team, Ohio State,
right,
Miami, Clemson, Louisiana State, Florida State, but they've all won national championships.
Right. So
why would Clemson be a better? Because they've done better most recently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're a senior coming out of high school and they're recruiting you, and your choice is them or Ohio State, or I think you're probably going to go to Clemson.
But one of the top 2 or 3 classes in the country usually is Notre Dame.
Right.
Notre Dame hasn't won a national championship in a long time, and they keep recruiting because everybody wants to play for the big Catholic school, and that's fine. But the fact of the matter is, I can't see a northern school even coming close to competing with southern schools in terms of climate and facilities and probably illegal funding, compensation, whatever you call it, call girls. But we'll see what gives. But and here's another question. I wanted to bring this up, and I don't mean to jump into this thing, but I want to talk about we were talking about coaches, and I should have bid on it when we were talking about coaches and managers. But I thought one of the worst managed games I've ever seen in my life was last year's World Series, Game 7.
Yeah.
And I know everybody talks about what a great coach the guy from Chicago
Madden
must be. And somebody also talks about what a great coach Francona must be.
Right.
And I thought they both managed that game like they were AA managers.
Yeah.
I mean, to stick Chapman in, first of all, it was more games in a row than he'd ever pitched, more innings than he ever pitched in a game. And then he blows a 3-run lead. But since they end up winning, then nobody seems to care. And Francona gets to the point where he's got to pitch to the best pitchers on the Cubs he hasn't got a left-hander in his bullpen.
Right.
He has nobody to pitch. Yeah. Not even nobody. He went through his starter, Andrew Miller, and now they're playing for the 7th game of the World Series, and he's got to pitch a guy who's not that good. It shouldn't. That's managing.
Yeah, and I guess sometimes they say it's better to be lucky than good, and Madden was lucky to win that, because actually out of those two managers, I think Madden really messed up that game.
Horribly.
He was lucky to win that game.
Well, that's my point. I mean, but he didn't do anything remotely intelligent in terms of managing a team.
And we're talking about like scratching your head. He made some head scratchers and you're like, what?
But they didn't work out.
Yeah.
When he did them.
Right.
Now he won the game.
Right.
Or the team won the game.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to worry about anybody reminiscing. But I'm going to reminisce about it because I remember watching the game thinking, what? To me, it was similar to the who was the coach of who's the guy that coaches the Seahawks? The guy that threw the pass on the 1 yard line against New England, right?
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name? Darryl. Right. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Pete Carroll.
What I thought, this is as dumb as it gets.
Right.
And yet, and nobody seemed to care.
And then, Bill Belichick does the same thing the next year. Was like, well,
go figure. And I mean,
and the criticism of Bill Belichick was that he did that because he was so arrogant.
Yes.
That he said, "Oh, I'm gonna make this
I'm
play
gonna show
work."
I'm going to show you the
Pete
right.
Carroll,
I'm going to show you the right way to do it.
Right. That Pete Carroll. Lucky for Belichick that it wasn't a game.
Remember the one was deflected. I tell you what.
Yeah.
And I'm just I guess we're outcomes based and we have to be.
Right.
But I just found the managing decisions in that World Series where both cities were starved for a championship to be not acceptable, but nobody calls them on it.
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody say the worst managed game I ever saw was last year's World Series.
Yeah.
And it was.
Yeah.
they'll say, "Oh, that was not exciting." No, it was stupid.
Well, especially that last game.
Yeah.
Was, you know.
Okay. Here's Chapman not pitching that well, and he's pitched way too long as is. We're going to leave him in to pitch against Roger Davis. I thought, I don't get that either.
Right.
But remember, we were all over. Who's the Mets guy? Who's the manager of the Mets? Terry Collins.
Yeah.
For the Matt Harvey.
Yeah.
Let me in. Let me pitch one more inning.
Right.
It doesn't make sense if you did something right the whole year. You're going to change it now because it's the World Series.
Right.
That what you're either doing is discrediting managing as not being important.
Right.
Oh, what difference is I can do whatever I want whenever I want, or you can figure, well, this is what's worked for me all year with this team, so I'm going to continue to do it. Nah.
Well, just the Terry Collins update. The general manager
Sandy Alderson.
Yeah, he said it's unlikely that
Terry will be back.
Yeah, next year. I guess this is his end of his contract or something. I don't know.
I don't think he's going to get any jobs.
No.
I don't think he's that good a manager.
No, he's not. He's got a losing record. I mean, he brought that team to the World Series, and that was his one shot.
To his
yeah. I mean,
it wasn't his fault
no.
that Syndergaard and Harvey and Wheeler and he had 4 prime pitching prospects, and they're all on the shelf. Yeah. I mean, I can't blame him for that.
Yeah.
But I also can blame him for maybe not. Of course, he's had like the second or third best team in the National League.
Yeah.
So they're not better than the Dodgers, even with all those guys.
Right.
So that's
right.
But I'm secretly hoping, and I'm going to say this is where I see that the clock's getting ready to go to 12. I hope that the Dodgers get into the World Series final and Puig loses the series for them. Because I just detest his demeanor as a professional baseball player.
Yeah.
There, I'm glad I said it.
All right.
He'll probably hit 3 homers and win MVP. I'm tired of the showboating. I'm tired of the me above the team stuff. I'm tired of it. So that's it. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to my rants.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. And you're listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410. We're sponsored by Bill Bryant Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their number is 352-787-2223, and we appreciate them sponsoring this show. It's a lot of fun. They're a great group of people over there. And we hope you had a good time listening. And we will be back next Saturday from 10 to noon. And stay tuned for Ralph with River Jordan and Friends. Have a great day, everyone.